This is Omerian would like to vindicate or explain a little bit about the recent books, the ideas, the reason behind writing it, and the Enchiridion of the books, generally content. The book is the Human Delusion. There is more than reason to write about the Human Delusion, or iconically pick up the title as you see. Reason are much clear. The way life is there, and the way things are defined, and the way things are carried, and the way we understand things, and the way we don't understand things. There are many reasons. That's why the word delusion is done in the way that things are not vivid. Delusion has a positive and a negative meanings. When the delusion is not openly welcome, when the delusion not defined in a positive definition, whereby when someone believes in something, that something is you are conditioned to it to believe in that things, then it has become a positive meaning for the word delusion. So you are conditioned to believe, or you are reasoned to believe. Evidence not necessarily generalized, but evidence necessarily generalized to the on an individual levels. You see something and then you believe it. I see something, perhaps the same thing you see, but I see it and I see something different. That's why I would rather say that you are deluded, and I possibly understand that if you say to me, when I am a deluded, there would be no a negative or physical enunciation here. All is verbally understanding things in a level of the veridical levels, which is caring about the truth and understanding the nature of things. And then I deeply focus in investigations about the philosophy itself, why there is something called philosophy, not necessarily focus on the genealogical terms, which is Greekly defined as a love of wisdom or the knowledge, but we go to the essence of the term philosophy, investigating, which is questioning things. I had provided very essential reasons why we need to question and why we don't need to question things. So I provided a very nice, fully intellectual evidence that you know, or when you question and when you don't question things. It is my opinion in the end of the day. So you may take it or you may reject it. It's not necessarily you take it in the granted, but you just take it to the opinion levels or discussions. It should be opened, not closed. And I focus upon the redemption of the philosophy, or the philosophical redemption, generally speaking, because we are redeemed in doing things and in believing things. That's the philosophy. Everyone has a philosophy. Everyone is born as a philosopher. But what happened is that you are conditioned, you are deluded not to question more about your existence and about your periphery, about the things that surround you, the subjects and objects, and the ideas and the beliefs, politics, educations, everything that within your life. You are conditioned not to question about the philosophical questions within the articles or things that you are encompassed with. So that's one of the points that I investigated, in a way that redemption and in a way that implications is there. The implication is that we are there because our grandparents are there. We are conditioned to that level, not a condition to our individual nature of understanding. And then I go to the second chapter, talking about the religious delusions. Generally speaking, I investigated deeply about the philosophy of the creation, which is the philosophy of God and the reason behind creations, the meaning, the purposes, the things are there. How and into what level are these things, and how do we conceive or look at these things? And the way we carry on the message or the carry on the journey of the life. When we are riding the boat, do you really speculate more about how things are there and how things are not? So I investigate deeply about the theological aspects, about the God, about the nature, creations, precisely encompassing all the aspect or scope of the theology, precisely the theological elements of polytheisms, monotheism, and theism, and atheisms, and deism, and agnosticisms, and gnosticisms. These all are there, including pantheism and panentheisms, even catholicism or henotheisms. They are more than the philosophical or doctrinations of theology. You may look at this in a way as you want. Evidence are there in the content, ideas are there in the content, and investigation and research and evidence are very quietly provided. Freely, I judge. I am a very liberal Muslim here, as well as a secular person. Believe in a condition, believe in my delusions, believe in my implications. So I believe that due to the certain reasons, that's why I am doing this. I believe because I believe in something, that's why I believe in it. So in the end of the day, we are all conditioned, we are all deluded, let's say, in a constructive meaning. And I had shaped the book ideas into a dialogue level or conversations, practically speaking, because the more we had a practical conversation that recorded and carried into text within the book, then a reader will see a very practical evidence and the practical levels of the ideas that is intellectually accounted, and the cognitive levels of evidence and the speculations of reasons and the perception of the things. So that's why there is a dialogue by the, or entitled by the dialogue before the hell. You should not wonder about the title of the dialogues or episodes are carried. There are 4 episodes. Episode number 1 is talking about science versus religions, and precisely concentrate about the existence of the God and existence of all these mechanic creations. And it's carried between atheists and Omerian. It's very a long journey of investigating and putting everything in the very intellectual levels, that to put it on the discussions, openly discussed and precisely carried, and discussion was very palpably discussed and very honestly there, which is the radical level. And the second episode is talking about the life matters and the human matters. Life as a content, or life as element, and the human as element that existed in the life. So this is being carried into very open within a great multidisciplinary of a question that philosophically is there and how things are there. It's covered more than 21 questions, precisely intellectual ideas and obsession of the life and the human obsession and the human nature and the human conditions, generally speaking. And yes, it's carried between Omerian, me personally, and between the opposition of the Omerian doctrine, which is, you may find it as anti-Omerian. So if you don't see the Omerian concept or Omerian philosophy, generally speaking, then you are up to the level of the you are anti, or you are neutral here. So pick up your levels and look at the case and evaluate freely. You have an opened intellectual level to evaluate and to judge. Discussion will never end when it comes to the Omerian levels. It's open up all the time in the questioning, in investigating, and in checking out in a very radical levels. The third episode is talking about Islamism and Islam. So the idea of Islam and the idea of Islamism. Of course, Islamism has nothing to do with Islam, but it's just a political influencing the Islam, or political religion, you can say, because Islamism is trying to religionizing state of the country or the world, providing the new world